Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome back to the Success Secrets Revealed live stream show with Ronald Couming. Today we have a super great guest for you. It's Rob Engel, who is the founder and creator of a game called Pictionary. Have you ever thought about creating a game? Nowadays it's probably called an app, right? But creating a game, getting it launched, creating books, getting those launched, Rob's going to walk us through all that. But before we introduce Rob and bring him on, I want to talk to you about Success Secrets Revealed, how this show came to be, and introduce our sponsors. I promise you it's painless. It's going to be less than 70 seconds, okay? Success Secrets Revealed is basically an offshoot of my radio show, Internet Marketing and Business Solutions with Ronald Couming. It airs weekly. We have about 1.7 million reach, but because of this COVID, the station isn't manning it with people, so they're just plugging in reruns. So instead of just sitting back and not providing value to my clients, I decided to pivot. I'm doing this live stream. So you're actually going to see me and the guests. We're going to talk. I'm going to take that video, YouTube, social media, that's going to go out there, but I'm going to strip out the audio, send it to the radio station so they can put it in the queue, and we can actually have live episodes and contribute to give you, the listeners, benefits and value. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to help you learn from people who have been there and done that. No matter what the fields are, we're bringing in some of the best people around. And so we're going to teach you from, you wouldn't ask your broke brother-in-law for financial advice, correct? So you want to ask somebody, or somebody who's never written a book, how to write a book, because they're going to tell you it's too hard, it's too expensive, it'll never sell. You don't want that. You want somebody who's been there and can actually guide you. There's a huge difference between seeking counsel and seeking advice, and we'll get into all that. Today's sponsor, as all the sponsors for this show, is my company, RCS Online Solutions. We fit the bill for all of this. And what we basically do is we help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success. And the short story on that is you can have the best products, the best services, you can have the best copy, the best funnels, the best videos, the best of everything, best pricing. But if people can't find you when they're searching, not for you, no one's searching for your name or your company's name because they don't know you, right? If they do know you, they're calling you. They're searching for solutions to their products and services. And you have to come up on the first page for the product, service, and solution you provide to be considered and potentially hired. And that's what we do. So enough with all that. Today we have a great guest with you. Not only has he been super successful and creative, he's got a dynamite personality. So help me welcome here Rob Engel, who is the founder and creator of Pictionary. Hey!
Morning.
Hey, Rob, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Where are you calling in from?
I am from sunny Santa Monica.
Santa Monica. I love Santa Monica. More so a little bit south. Venice Beach is if I had to choose. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Hey, it's so funny. I don't even want to get into it, but the sneakers that I actually have right here, I bought in Santa Monica because I was at an event and they broke, and I couldn't believe the tax rate. In Massachusetts, in Massachusetts, we're called Taxachusetts, right? But the taxes, right, on the sneakers were like $120, but I paid like $134. I paid an extra $12 to the state and $2 to Santa Monica, right? I was like, are you kidding me? But it's all good. So, Rob, tell us a little bit more about you. You created the game Pictionary, man. Who does that, right?
Well, a waiter from Spokane, Washington does that.
Well, you weren't a waiter after that, were you? Tell us more about that.
Well, God, so actually, I was not after, but during. I mean, when I was still working on Pictionary, when I was 26. It didn't just happen. So yeah, I was still waiting tables during the middle of it, right in the beginning. So it's my chosen profession.
Okay, and that okay. So, but you created Pictionary. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about your history before that? How you came up with the idea to create it, and that the process. Obviously, there's trials, tribulations, ups and downs, and then we'll go into like what you're currently doing now. I just want to give people a little backdrop if they're not familiar with who you are.
Sure. I was the backdrop to starting a Pictionary was I was in college my freshman year, and before that, I had been working for 5 years for my father, and he was the big executive at this big company in Seattle, in Spokane, and I looked up to him, and I'm going, okay, I want to be just like him when I grow up, as we do with our parents, and I said, I want to be an executive. So I go to college and I'm taking business courses and I'm going to be and then my freshman year, I get a call. He had been fired from his job. Well, wait a minute. I thought he was, untouchable. So everything that I'd planned to be this executive, to be him, was now pulled out from under me. I didn't know, my whole vision of my future has changed. So I'm thinking about this, and the unknown started creeping in. But the one thing I knew is that I wasn't going to let anybody be in charge of my life. I wasn't going to be beholden to somebody else's whims to fire me or move me or do whatever. That was just, my freedom was really important to me. And so at that moment, I kind of took a couple of days. I mean, first he tells me that, then he says, I'm going to pay for my own college. So I'm going, oh, okay, now all kinds of new things are happening here. But I decided, I've got a couple of options. One, I could just panic and give up, which wasn't an option. And I said, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? Well, that was it. So I was going to be my own boss, an entrepreneur, and I changed the courses I took. And more importantly, I changed the mindset. That was the big difference. That instead of going, okay, an executive, I got to take care of myself. So I was looking for opportunities, right? I was open to things coming my way as opposed to something specific. And fast forward, about graduate from college, put myself through school, waiting tables, and I graduate, and I move in with 3 buddies, and one of them says, hey, do you want to play a game? We call it charades on paper, sketching words out of the dictionary. Sure, why not? But that was the opportunity, right? Not everything is this huge opportunity. It was like, yeah, the opportunity is to have fun, and that was it.
Yep. And that was how it started?
Yeah, we did that. So we started playing. We started playing this game, and we were up all night, and then the next night, and the next night, like one step after that. And I go, this is 1982, so Trivial Pursuit was coming out, and games were still popular, and I grew up playing games. So I thought, this would make a good board game, but I couldn't figure out a physical thing. I needed to figure out how to put the words into the game because I wasn't inventing anything new. Hieroglyphics existed. We all knew how to draw. That's no big deal. There's that kind of opportunity all around. And so until I could figure that out, I was kind of stuck. And so I put it away, and for 2 years, so the idea is percolating, Pictionary. I'm trying to figure this out. And finally, I see my mom sends me a Trivial Pursuit game. We have no idea. I had no idea where this opportunity or this inspiration was going to come from. I open it up and I look at this card. It's like, how you remember the little things? This is that aha moment. And I look at it and there's a word on there that says, question, what animal has translucent skin and hollow fur? I don't know, turn it over. Polar bear. I look and I go, wait a minute, polar bear. That's how I make Pictionary. I put words on cards. It was like I was ready. I was present. I was excited because I had seen it, and it just all these things had been floating in my head. I call it. I was compelled to take action.
I love it. And to me, I mean, first I want to go back. It's so funny because you mentioned that all this was in like 1982. Mm-hmm. Some of our listeners, there wasn't internet back then. Cell phones were the size of a small briefcase and weighed 6 pounds, right? And most of them plugged into your cigarette lighter in your car. That's something that hasn't been in your car in like 20 years.
Yeah, they used to call them the brick.
Yeah.
I got a picture. It's literally this big.
Yes, I remember them, right? And everybody who had one, everybody either thought you were like super successful or you were a drug dealer, right? And
No, they had pagers.
people had to contact you, right away. Them and the beepers, right? But so there was a whole nother world in 1982.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you just pick up and type something in. So there was a much larger process in development. But I love how you spoke about how you just saw something. And Alex Stern, he has this thing called Pillar of Success, and some quite a few other people that we associate with. And one of the big things they talk about is you don't necessarily, like you said with the hieroglyphics, I mean, this type of stuff has been around forever. But if you can find just a little bit different way of delivering it, of making it more convenient, of something that adds on to something else that is successful, I want the listeners to understand they don't have to create something from the very beginning. Find something that already exists, make it better, make it more convenient, find a way to deliver it in a more convenient way for people, and it opens up some tremendous doors for you. And you did that hugely way back before there was internet, before there was even really cell phones. You know what I mean? So you did it at a time where, I'm not going to say it meant something, because if you do it today, it means something, but it was a lot more difficult. So from the time that you had that aha moment, when you saw it and you had that idea of just, hey, let me put this on a card. And sometimes it's really like that. It's like a cocoon moment. You go from where you are to where you're going to be, poof, right? And so how did you get from seeing it and understanding how you wanted to deliver it to actually delivering it?
No, there's the rub, isn't it? Right? That's the problem right there. That is the hardest part. And I just want to go back a little bit what you just said about not having to, have this brilliant idea and recreating. The word to me, the word creativity is combining things that don't usually get combined. So if you have an idea and it's not working, or you think it's great, but it's not quite there, combine it with something else. Combine it with a different way to do it. Combine it with a new pen, whatever. I'm making things up, but just create things and combine them and see what comes of that. So if you're stuck in one idea and you really like it, kind of go see what else you can add to it, which actually kind of dovetails into the problem that I experienced, which was
was it a problem, or was it an opportunity that just needed a solution? I'm just playing. It was an opportunity that was crying out for a solution.
Is this that half glass full, half empty kind of thing? Let me rephrase. There was an opportunity here. Is that better?
Exactly.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, you're my new mentor, right? Appreciate that. So the opportunity. So I see this Trivial Pursuit card, and the difference between seeing the Trivial Pursuit card and taking action was huge. That was the problem. That was my disconnect, because without taking action, even though I had this aha moment, doesn't mean anything. It's just an idea rattling around in my head, right? And we all have those. We all have ideas. By the time you get out of the shower, it's either gone or you don't do anything with it. So it just didn't exist. So I'm ready to go. I am 24 years old and I am excited to go. And then all of a sudden, self-doubt started creeping in. I'm a waiter. I don't have the skills. I don't have the talent. So that was debilitating. I'm saying, okay, I can do this. Then all of a sudden, in my brain, I'm thinking all the steps necessary to create Pictionary, marketing plans, business plans. Then I got to get partners. Then I've got to get financing. And I'm 24 years old, 23 or 24 by now. I was overwhelmed. I overthought everything. I mean, how many times have you had this great idea and then you think, oh my gosh, all the steps necessary to get there? So I had to break it down. I said, what can I do? How can I start? What is the simplest, easy first task that I can do to get started? Now, I didn't write down all the steps necessary to get to getting a finished product on the market. Right? People tell you to do that, and I'm all for it. And then check one off at a time, one step at a time. But even that was too much for me, because then it just reminded me of all the stuff. So I said, I'm just going to get started. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to jump. What is it? The word list. It's the word list. That's what I need to do, because it's easy for me to do. I grabbed a pad of paper, a pencil, and a number 2 pencil, a pad of paper, a pencil, and a dictionary. I went in the backyard and I opened it up. And I said, I'm going to make the word list. I need to write the first word that makes sense for Pictionary. And I look, and there it is. And I write down the word aardvark. Aardvark.
Is that a capital A?
Capital A, brother. Capital A. Right? 2 A's, and that's why it was the first word. But I tell you, I really wasn't sure what an aardvark was. I knew we knew the word. I knew it was an animal. Fit the criteria. So I said, I wrote it down. And when I wrote that word down, it was like magic. That was the moment, because I created something. I'd no longer been just in this concept stage. I created something. And in that moment, I was no longer a waiter. I was a game inventor. It was that fast. It was one simple word. I'd labeled myself a waiter because that's all I knew. And I lived like a waiter. But when I wrote that word, I became a game inventor. And now, that fast, I'm going, okay. I just kept looking at the word. Okay. What does a game inventor do? Oh, he writes more words, because that's what's going on. And I wrote the word abacus. And I kept looking through it, and I kept writing word after word after word. And it just built. I didn't think about at this point even the next step. I got through this step, and it gave me confidence. It gave me the will to continue, because I'd accomplished something. So writing that simple word. And today, because of the internet, because you could go to GoDaddy and for $8, get yourself a domain name. It could be goofy, silly, but it's tangible. Yep. It's absolutely tangible. Writing something on paper, absolutely, clearly worked for me, but do something tangible and live with it. I told this guy once, I was with this guy at a restaurant, as a friend of a friend, and he wanted to do this catering company. Great chef. And I go, why aren't you doing it? Well, excuse after excuse, and same thing, business plan, same things I was telling myself when I was a waiter. So I tell you what, I pull out my wallet, I slap $20 down on the table, and I go get your domain name, and just, that's all I'm asking you to do. Sure. 2 months later, I get a text. Hey, here's my domain name. I got started. Within 2 years, he was one of the best caterers in Seattle, all by getting his domain name. Take those little steps. Don't overthink it. Don't get rattled around in your head. That's me. It's just too much. Just get started. You got to jump. You've got to jump, or you'll never know.
I love it. And that's one of the biggest things. I mean, I've learned from a lot of different people over the years, but one of the big things I hear people like Greg Reed and others talking about is taking action, taking massive action. Grant Cardone taking massive action, the 10X stuff there. I'm a big fan. But so there's a lot of different people that I listen to. But one of the biggest things that it comes down to is also, like you said, taking that action. Once you actually started, you had all that self-doubt, the fears, the insecurities. Who am I? I'm a waiter. You know what I mean? I take orders and probably screw up half of them and still expect a full tip, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I get all judgmental. What do you mean you left me 8% instead of 12, right? But, you know what I mean? That's life.
And that's the other thing. You know what? Don't take it personal.
Yeah, I love it, man. Good for you. But
right. If you start taking rejection personally, if you start taking all these things that are coming at you personally, you'll go insane. And I won't lie to you. Even today, when I get into some fibbit, as my kids call it, and all of a sudden somebody's saying something and I start taking it personally, nothing good comes of that.
Yeah,
I have to stop. I have to, as I say, I put myself in timeout. Cliche as it sounds, I take deep breaths and I just get away from the problem for 2 seconds. Take a time out. So don't take things personally. It'll save you a lot of grief, aggravation, and keep you moving forward.
I love it. And these are huge nuggets of advice. And I hope people go back and listen, not just to the words, but to the actual fundamental and practical applications. When you had all that fear and doubt, it crippled you. When you sat down and said, okay, I can't do all that, but I can do this. And when you did do this, it changed you from that to this. And then there was still follow-up action. But it all started with something so simple. It's getting out of your own head, taking action, and moving forward. Am I correct?
Without question. So I call it finding your aardvark. It's because that was the first word. So in my book, Game Changer, it was so important that at the end of the book, I redid a chapter and labeled it, What is Finding Your Aardvark? Because it's so important, particularly in today, what's going on, and just in general. We're all reinventing ourselves. We're all going, oh, I'm a little confused about what my future looks like or what the future looks like. And that's okay. It is. We're all going through that. It's terrible,
Yep.
but it's also an opportunity if you can just figure out how to get started. And that's why finding your aardvark is so important.
It's huge. And you know, if you look, and you're right, there is a huge thing going on right now. This is going to air and it's going to live on in perpetuity. But right now we're going through the COVID situation in 2020. This is April something. I don't know, the 20th or something, right?
You've been in quarantine too long. I'm going to get my calendar and I'll let you know exactly what day it is.
What time is it? No, it's April 19th, I believe, right? But April 19th, 20.
If it is, I'm in trouble. I've missed a few appointments.
All right, so I don't know. I think it's the 20th, right? But the 19th. But but anyhow, but if we look back at like 2008 and 2009, when that crisis went on, and that basically crippled two industries, real estate and automobiles, and those who supported it. What's happening now is really, you know, it's affecting virtually every industry out there. But during that time, we had some great companies that everybody knows about, like Lyft, Uber, Airbnb. So out of that came those companies and many others. Right now, I have two clients, but they're friends of mine, but they're ready to, you know, to take another step because they offer these different services. One offers a type of service for bankruptcy, but instead of filing bankruptcy, you file for this service and it keeps the bankruptcy off, and you got to pay like 5% or something back to the creditors, but it protects you. The other guy does all sorts of stuff for like immunology. And right now, you know, it's so important to focus on your health because we know that COVID affects people who have multiple issues. Someone like me, I'm knocking on the door of 60. God forbid I get it. I'll be down for a week, but I'm going to live. Somebody who's slightly older and has a different issue and hasn't taken care of their health, you know, they're going to have more issues. So those type of people, those two industries and other people, there are other industries that this is going to be a gold mine for, because there are so many people who instinctively between September and October, companies and individuals are going to be filing for bankruptcy. So this guy's going to come in and say, no, don't do this instead. Other people are going to be worried for their health. This guy's going to come in and say, no, don't worry about it. Start doing this. Pay attention. You know what I mean? Do what you have to do. But so there are many other industries. So I love how you say, you know, don't get caught up and just don't allow yourself to just live in that fear and be crippled by it. See what you can do from here, because that's the true essence, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, of an entrepreneur is somebody who's able to, you know, withstand risk. If you look up in the dictionary, that's the actual definition. But we see opportunities, you know what I mean? And that's the difference. You saw a card and it gave you an idea, and you went on and created you know, a hugely successful business. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what you're doing now in your current book and how you help people today?
You know, no, I'm watching the little scroll at the bottom.
Yeah.
A good entrepreneur would get his actual website correct.
It does help. So
it's one B, robangel.com. It's not with two B's.
All right. And I got to put my glasses on just to make sure. So it's B.
That's funny.
Is that good?
Yeah, you know, if I'm going to send people places, it meant to be, who knows where that last one's going to send them.
Ta-da!
But
But
we all have to adapt.
in the description, I'll make sure it's there. So, underneath this will be a description, the same description I had up on in Facebook and stuff. But then in that caption, I'll make sure that that's correct for you.
I appreciate it.
One of us didn't have our glasses on.
I get a little distracted.
Yeah.
So, let me point something else out then, since we're going to go down this rabbit hole, is that
oops.
In a very positive way, because the glass is half full. No, that when I just was joking that I didn't get my own website right, and I'm a little distracted, but you know what? That's okay, because that's who I am, and that's my skill set. I can sell, I can market, I can do this, I can inspire people, but I can't run a business, even though that's what I said I wanted to do with my dad. But then I realized I don't want to run a business. I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to make sure all the parts fit together. I want to be creative. I want to market. I want to sell. And so when it came time to getting partners, I found people that filled in those blanks. But here's something more important than just finding somebody to run the business, finding graphic artists. The teammates that I had, they felt from the beginning like the right people for me and my company, not because of their skill set, it was because of their attitude. It was because of their heart. It was because they shared the same vision. It wasn't just pieces of a puzzle to get somebody to do the books. You can find that online. But having that collaboration, having that somebody you can rely on, having that team where if you throw out a bad idea, okay, that's okay if you do, because they're going to yell at you and laugh at you, but they're laughing at the idea, not you personally. It just opens up so much freedom. When we took our egos out of our decisions, then everything just opened up. And those are the people you want to surround yourself with. Not just quote unquote yes men, not just people that can do the job. You're going to be working with somebody. Somebody once told me, whoever you're going to work with, you want to make sure you're going to want to eat with them 4 nights a week. And if you don't want to go to dinner with them, you're certainly not going to want to work with them. And this is the entrepreneur thing, though. It's different in a workplace environment. But I always surrounded myself with the same like-minded people, the same energy. And that's why we worked. That's why this team worked so well.
I love it. And I like, one of the things I like to tell my clients, and I was trying to find a pen for 2 reasons, right? One was because the beginning thing was you spoke about how you misspelled your name. And it's so funny because a guest I had on just yesterday, who he's done tremendous in like getting targets near me and other things like that. He buys those URLs, but he misspells it by like 1 word, the target. So people are typing target with 2 T's, target with an E instead of an A or whatever, A instead of an E. And then he gets all this tremendous traffic. So buying your own URL, but with a 2B, and then maybe, a different way of spelling angel might be beneficial. But so there's all sorts of industries like that. But I love how you also talked about bringing in other people. Focus on what you do. Everybody has their own genius zone. And if we get caught up in doing the minutiae of, putting up our posts or doing this or doing that, it's taking us away from doing what we do best. So what I like to do, I don't just learn it, do it, and delegate it. I learn it, do it, and I duplicate it. I bring in people, and this is where what I think you say ties in so much better than what I hear a lot of people saying about learn it, do it, and delegate it. You're saying learn it, do it, and delegate it to the point where you know these people, you like these people. So I like to tell people to duplicate it. So find people, even if they can do whatever it is you want them to do, get them to do it the way you want them to do it.
Right.
And you now have duplicated yourself. You still go back and you edit it because at the end of the day, your name's on it. But you just took a 30-hour project and brought it down to, 45 minutes.
Right.
that you're getting paid for 30, you pay them, you're working 45, and you keep the difference, right? So, I love that, man. So go on, please tell us more. No pressure.
No pressure. Oh, random subjects. What do you want to talk about?
Go on with so now
story. So
how you got it? What are you doing now and in the future?
So one other story I like to tell regarding that same vibration, if you will, that same energy, is Pictionary became so fast. I mean, we used to do things like go to Nordstrom's, open up a game and start playing, and see people going, "Oh, what are you doing?" I mean, we were doing alternative distribution, alternative marketing before there was such a term. I would literally put the game under my arm, walk down the street, see a storefront, go in, try to sell them. I didn't know what the rules were to where you had to sell, because I didn't ask. So I just started doing my own. There was no manual. And so I walked in to a real estate company. They go, what are you doing here? Well, I've got this new game. And if people come in and look at a house, maybe you should have a Pictionary game on the counter, family values, it looks more homey. The guy took 6. It's a real estate company.
I love it.
I would go to pharmacies. Well, they never sold a game before. Oh, sure, we'll take 6. University of Washington bookstore. All these different accounts that didn't really have anything to do with board games, but it was getting the game in front of people that normally wouldn't see it. Because back then it was the big box stores and toy stores. And so they would go to, if they wanted for a party or a birthday. But now it's everywhere in their face. I went to Nordstrom. They never sold a game before, but I offered her everything. This was a big break. Take the games back if it doesn't sell. I'll teach all your staff how to play the game so you'll sell more. That was all about it. It's all about their profits. I'll demonstrate every game until they're sold. She took her shot. She took 72 games.
Wow.
Ronald, I remember the little numbers, right?
Yeah.
The big numbers are cool, but the 72 games, my God. And then I take those 72 games, and at the bottom of the escalator, downtown Nordstrom, and I put the game out, and I would start playing. And at the end of the day, after 8 hours, I sold 3 games. I was ecstatic. I was doing the work, man. I was 24/7 with the breaks, with taking care of myself. But I was down there, and I sold 3 games, and I was ecstatic. And then I started thinking, okay, I can do something different. Maybe how do I sell more than 3 games? And it dawned on me that Pictionary is not a drawing game, because that scared people, right? People are still afraid to draw. And so instead of having to come down the elevator, throw a pencil in their hand and say, draw this, they'd come down the elevator and I'd hold up a paper and I'd have a picture of a cat on it. And I go, what's this? Oh, that's a cat. You're so smart. And then I'm building these guys up. And then I do it again. What's this? And they'd say something. I'd say, no, you're wrong. No matter what they said, I was going to tell them they were wrong. So we just switched it. So by the time they guessed, because that was something they were comfortable with, I put the pencil in their hand, they played, they bought it. So we just kept switching the script. We just kept flipping everything to what was needed or what the consumer was looking for. So we were having a ball.
I love it. And that's guerrilla marketing at a whole new level, brother. And how many games of Pictionary have been sold overall?
When we owned it, we sold it to Mattel in 2001. So we started June 1st, 1985, 35 years ago. And that's why the book is out, and I'm just celebrating that story. We had sold 38 million games out of my apartment, in effect, out of my house, worldwide, 60 countries, 45 languages, with 2 employees.
Wait a minute. You had 2 employees and you sold how many games?
38 million.
38 million games.
Look at me smile. It's just crazy numbers to me.
Yeah, it's staggering. So when you talk about the 3s and the 72s, those are milestones, but and it's huge, because those are like senses of accomplishment. I can feel that. You know what I mean? When I'm like that and I sell something, a huge contract, that's cool. It's like, okay, let me fill out the paperwork, boom, it's gone. But sometimes it's the other ones that just really connect with you, right? And but 38 million games. I mean, even at like $3 margin. I mean, that's over $100 million, brother. And you did that with 2 employees in an apartment, and while you were being a waiter. I mean, people,
I did quit, by the way.
You did quit being a waiter?
After we started scaling, it was time.
Yeah, when people refuse to go with the 20% and we're only leaving the 12, right? It just wasn't for me, right? But to me that's staggering. But it just shows people, you know what I mean? You just never know. You just got to take that shot. You had all the doubts, you had all the insecurities, but took that one step. You said, okay, all this stuff, I can't do all that, but I can do this. And when you did that, it just helped you take that first step. And then you continued with that. And then you went to the second step. And from there, I mean, it's staggering. And the next time I see you, you're buying lunch, brother. I had no clue. I never did the math. All right. But
I don't, we keep the math to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm getting fancy hamburger too. We ain't going to McDonald's.
Fine, you can have cheese.
Woo! No, I love it, man. But good for you, man. But
Well, the one story I tell is that while I won't use the word lucky, I kind of knew, but it's easier sometimes to decide what you don't want to find out what you do want. And because there's so many options, sometimes that gets debilitating. So I asked a wine master once how he can decide what wine is. I handed him a glass and he smells it. And after about 90 seconds, he tells me the wine, the vintage, the vintner, everything about it. And I go, do you know every wine in the world? That's amazing. He goes, no, of course I don't. He goes, but I know what it's not. He goes, smells it? He goes, it's not a Cabernet. So he eliminates Cabernet. He goes, oh, it's not a Chardonnay. He eliminates Chardonnay. He eliminates Old World. Whatever he's smelling, what it's not, to narrow it down to what it is. So you don't have to know what you want. You don't have to know exactly what your first step is. But as more you can get rid of things and not put focus on and attention on things that don't serve you, that aren't moving you forward, that aren't getting you to your goal, that aren't helping you even find your goal, as long as you're doing that, you will get down to it. And it'll be easier to take that first aardvark step because you'll know which direction not to go. And if you go the wrong direction, by the way, it's okay. Turn around, go back, start again. It's okay. Happens all the time.
I love it. I'm definitely going back and re-listening to this episode too. I love it, man. To me, I eat this stuff up. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do this show and meet people like you. And because we surround, we have our normal lives, and just not everybody thinks like us. You know what I mean? Like entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? So it's really nice to just sometimes when we have these events to just fly in and go, because you can just sit there and just be around like-minded people. But if you could give 3 pieces of advice to business owners and entrepreneurs, it might be somebody just starting, somebody in business, or somebody who's in business and wants to scale. What would be like 3 things, 3 pieces of advice? I'm going to pull you up on the big screen. So when you see yourself get bigger, don't. But I want people to focus on you, brother.
First of all, I would, if you're going to get into your business, I would make sure that there is a path to what you want. If it's profitability, if it's you want to create a job for yourself, but you have to make sure that it's going to accomplish those goals. Because sometimes ideas, even when you're going through with them, aren't necessarily going to get you where you want to be. And like I said earlier, it's okay when you realize that to turn around. So make sure that there's a path to profitability and what you want to accomplish. 2, follow your instincts. Because most of the time, when we're entrepreneurs, we're just getting started, we will never have all the information we need. When I was doing Pictionary, I didn't know what I was doing one day from the next. But I trusted my instincts and my gut to help me make the right decision. And for me, the third thing was collaboration. Don't live in a bubble. Don't try to think you can do it all. I asked a friend of mine who works for Microsoft in the entrepreneur division. I said, what's the one most common reason that entrepreneurs fail, without hesitation. She said, because they think they can do it all. Know what your skill set is. Embrace your skill set. Get your superpower. Just go for it. But acknowledge what you don't know. It's not a weakness. It's just acknowledging that to make this thing work, I need this team. I need this person. I need to delegate this. Because once you do that, then you can get more accomplished and you can get more of what you want and what you need. So just make sure that you're acknowledging who you are. And those are the 3 pieces of advice that I'd give.
I love it, Rob. That's amazing. This has been an outstanding interview. I'm definitely going to go and listen to it again. Our weather here in Boston is on 70 plus. Nothing compared to what you guys have out in California. I love California. I would love to move there, but the politics and the taxes are just keeping me.
I'm visiting actually, right?
Yeah.
I still live in Seattle.
Oh, do you? Yeah, it was funny. I was just watching a show from up in Seattle, and that's where Starbucks came from too, right?
It did.
Yep, and Microsoft too, isn't it?
Microsoft, Starbucks, Pictionary, Costco, Boeing. Got a couple of brands up there. We're a brand city.
Yeah, and when I think of Boeing, Microsoft, right in the middle, I definitely think of Pictionary. I love it, brother. I love. Yeah, you put it right in the middle, not at the end, not at the beginning. I love it. Good for you. And right. but I mean, it is a tremendous city. And just on a small note, when I rent a condo down in St. Croix, the people I rented for like 2 months at a whack, so I can go down February and March. Airbnb, I love Airbnb, and but they live in Seattle too. So see, Seattle has been a large part of my life, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Anything in closing, Rob, that you'd like to tell the listeners now and for the future? I mean, this has been tremendous, and I really hope people go back and listen to the whole thing from the beginning. And again, not just the words, but the meaning behind the words.
Well, Ron, I appreciate that, man. It's fun for me to do this because I lived this thing for 17 years, and it was an amazing journey and an amazing adventure. And I'm grateful for, all the opportunities that came my way. And so the last bit of advice that I would give everybody is that just even in these times or any time, good or bad or both, just be grateful. Be thankful for what you have and be grateful for the people around you. Be grateful for everything that there is. And if you use that as your backdrop, everything kind of flows from there. Everything is kind of a positive thing from there. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I lose sight of that periodically. So I'm sitting here telling you what to do. But I don't always get it done myself. And when I do, man, my brain started taking over. And all these things I was talking about earlier about, overwhelming and too much information. And my brain starts going like this. So I just really stop and think about what's going on. I do mindfulness. I just take a little bit of a timeout. And that's what I suggest to everybody, but just be grateful.
I love it. Thank you. Gratitude. That's amazing. Rob, you've been tremendous. I'm so grateful you shared your time with us today.
Absolutely my pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, everybody. This has been amazing. I sincerely hope you go back and you'll listen to this whole thing. We're going to post it up on YouTube. It's going to be pushed out on my radio show, Internet Marketing and Business Solutions with Ronald Couming. Rob talked about how he started as a waiter, and he had a bunch of self-doubts that we all have and still probably have, but he fought through them by taking it literally. He made a list. He had all these things, and it became so overwhelming. He was almost crippled by it, but he said, I can do this. And he started writing down the names, right? And so sometimes it's literally a step-by-step. He literally sold 38 million plus games, right? So we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And that's after taxes and margin and all that. All that from an idea and just sticking with it. So go back and listen to this episode. This has been one of the better episodes, and we've all had great episodes. But in terms of like the fundamentals, this one really is. I really like this one. So you've been listening to the Success Secrets Revealed with Ronald Couming. Our sponsor is RCS Online Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs achieve even greater success by attracting, converting, and retaining their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success. At the end of the day, you can have the best product, the best service, the best website, the best everything. But if people can't find you or them, they'll never be able to consider you or hire you. So you need to focus on your SEO. You need to get whatever it is you're offering and doing in front of the exact people who are interested in whatever you're doing. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We have more amazing guests. Bye now.